Welcome to the second day of the cryptography workshop. We're really pleased that you chose Columbia University as the site for your workshop. And as director of the Northeast Big Data Hub, I'm also really pleased to be one of the co-sponsors of the workshop. Data science is really, truly an interdisciplinary field. Here at Columbia, our Data Science Institute spans all schools across the university, and the growth of data and the use of it for research really touches on every academic discipline. And this gives a huge amount of data growing every day in many different fields with many different applications in which privacy can play a role. So I thought I would, in my welcome address, say a few words about the intersection between data science, privacy, and security. And I'm going to give you a few examples where I think, from different fields where I think this is important. I'm sure all of you have plenty of examples yourself. And then I'm going to also take the opportunity to tell you a little bit about the Northeast Big Data Hub. So with the explosion of data really around the world, it's transforming the way we do work. Big data and data science is transforming the way we do academic research. For example, scientists often no longer use the method of suggesting a hypothesis and testing whether it holds or not. Instead, they often use exploration of the data that they have at hand to arrive at solutions. Data science is really impacting society, providing solutions for many grand challenges which we could not solve before. A really good example of this is health, precision and personalized medicine, where the large amounts of data that we have about patients can help us do better patient care. And of course, data science is also transforming the business world. It's changing how we do business, for example, in areas such as marketing or investment in finance. So one example of where data science and privacy intersect is in the area of health. Because of course we have, in the area of health, we have a lot of issues in privacy surrounding the use of patient records. So the examples that I give as I go through this are coming all from Columbia, because these are from the Columbia Data Science Institute, and these are examples that I'm familiar with. So in health, there is an effort at Columbia called Odyssey, which stands for Observational Health Data Sciences and Informatics. And the idea with this project is to make available large amounts of observational data about patients. And so this is an example of how research is done in this new paradigm with data science, where instead of doing hypothesis testing, we look at all of the data that we have and we explore multiple solutions at the same time. So the idea here is that we can use observational data to test multiple solutions through exploration rather than the typical method of using clinical trials. So Odyssey is a network that connects to multiple health databases in hospitals around the country. I've mentioned George Ripsack, but there are many people at many different universities involved in this effort. It's a platform on which we can connect to patient data at different hospitals, and it enables researchers to explore correlations between the data and issues surrounding causation, what for example, may cause a reaction to a specific drug while at the same time preserving patient privacy. So it seems to me this is an area, or this particular project is one in which there could be potential for interaction. They've used this data for many different studies, but one has been to study drug side effects on patient populations, and it's allowed them to look at very large patient populations with many different characteristics and the potential for many different kinds of interactions. Social media, of course, is another area where there are major issues with privacy. We all have seen it, for example, with experiments with Facebook data or with companies' use of private information that they gather through what you're shopping for, and the Walmart situation of discovering the teenager who, because of what she was buying, they assumed she was pregnant. So these are all, examples of where companies' exploration of social media is an issue, and I know you'll be hearing later today about methods in which you can provide some transparency about what companies are looking at. But in our work in natural language processing, we've been looking at, if we just look at the text people post on social media, what can we determine about the people who are posting? And we've wondered, if we look at the conversations that people are having, can we determine whether they're young or old, whether they're religious or not, whether they're conservative or liberal? And our interest in using it is not for marketing, but for detecting who has influence on social media. And by using a machine learning approach, we've learned that just by reading the text of conversation in social media, we can identify personal characteristics of the poster with high accuracy. So we can determine their age, whether they were born before 1982 or not, their gender, their political party, their political view, whether they're conservative or liberal, and whether they are one of 4 religions, one of those religions being atheist. And then my final example is in the area of scientific study. There's been work here on studying energy usage in the Columbia dorms, and this is work that was done by Trish Culligan and a large team of people. They were looking at students' usage of electricity. This was a place where they could get a large sample and look at what was done in the dorms. And then they were interested in whether they could modify people's usage of electricity by providing some forms of behavioral modification. Could they, through feedback, cause behavioral modification? And they looked at if they provided information about, for example, how many trees were being chopped down versus how many kilowatt hours were being used, could they get a bigger impact? And in fact, they could. But in the process of doing this, they saw that information was also revealed about who was where at different points in time. And so, of course, again, this is a privacy issue. So even in an area like this, there is an intersection between data science and privacy. So I want to close with telling you a bit about the Northeast Big Data Hub. This is one of 4 hubs that NSF has funded across the country, and you can see the geographical locations of the 4, the Northeast, the Midwest, the West, and the South. Ours is the smallest geographically, but it was based on census data, so we have the same population as the other areas. And that, of course, reveals some of the unique characteristics of the Northeast Hub. It's the most densely populated, it has 3 of the largest cities, and so forth. Our vision in the Northeast Hub is to be able to provide opportunities for data scientists across organizations, across sectors, for example, academia, industry, nonprofit, and across related fields to come together for collaboration. And we're really interested in how we can exploit data of different kinds in order to solve problems. So how we can use extracted knowledge to take action. And one of the major kinds of benefits that we hope to come out of it is the provision of large data sets which can be shared across these organizations for different uses. And again, this is an area where as soon as we do this, data security and privacy become important. Tomorrow is the first day of our Northeast Big Data Hub inaugural workshop, taking place from 9 to actually 5:30. And you may be interested in our opening keynote speaker, Michael Leiter, who will be talking about big data and national security, looking at Paris, Syria, and the future. He's a counterterrorism expert and currently often appears on NBC Nightly News in that capacity. So if you're interested, the Northeast Hub is open for all people to join. This is a link to our webpage. And here is our email in case you have questions or want to communicate. So in sum, I hope you enjoy today. It's certainly the kinds of talks that you're having look very interesting. Thank you.